After going through rough 2 years marked by the COVID pandemic, the Indian economy is showing signs of recovery. Most economic indicators have either breached pre-pandemic levels or reached close to those levels. India's economy is expected to record GDP growth of 9.5% in FY22 and further around 8% in FY23. While the economy is expected to bounce back from the lows hit during the pandemic, there are uncertainties and challenges. One big uncertainty remains: threat of further waves of COVID-19. However, with a large share of India's population vaccinated, the economic disruption, if any, is likely to be less severe. The other big threats are the still lingering global supply disruptions, rising commodity prices, and freight costs. Inflation is so far within RBI's comfort zone, but there is a threat of further pressure on inflation. As far as interest rate is concerned, it is expected to start inching up given the inflationary concerns. However, the interest rate hike is likely to be gradual given the growth uncertainties in the economy. With that broad macroeconomic background, let's look at the real estate sector. India's real estate sector, specifically residential segment, has shown a strong recovery from the pandemic-induced crisis. A number of factors like low interest rate, fall in house prices, state government stimulus measures supported the housing market revival in 2021. The pandemic in itself has turned into a strong factor supporting housing demand. During the pandemic, people felt the need for bigger and better houses. The critical question now is whether the housing market bounce back will be sustained in 2022. Globally, the housing boom has been accompanied by a sharp rise in house prices, resulting in fears of housing bubble forming. However, in India, the housing sales surge has not been accompanied by rising prices so far. So, while globally there is a fear of house price bubble burst, in India those concerns are not there as yet. In many of the other countries like China, the housing sector is struggling with high leverage taken by many of the players. In India, on the contrary, there has been a cleanup of balance sheet of the real estate players in the last few years, with many of them deleveraging. The other supporting factor for the sector is that this recovery is coming on the back of supply-side reforms like RERA introduced few years back. Overall, the real estate sector is on a recovery path. A critical aspect in this turnaround story would be the sustenance of India's economic growth.